And there's a new plan to help school children catch up over the summer, but education leaders are warning that there are no quick fixes to so much disrupted education. Well, let's get more on this. We're joined now by the Education Secretary Gavin Williamson. Thank you for being on the programme. Can you just talk us through what to expect from this announcement? What exactly should parents be expecting?
Well, this is an added boost to education and to children. We recognise that all children have missed out on so much over the last year, and that's why just 6 months ago we announced the £1 billion catch-up fund. But on top of that, we're putting an extra £700 million into this. This will see extra money, £200 million going to secondary schools to roll out summer lessons and summer camps, if that's what the route they want to do, expansion of our national tutoring programme, so we can really target resources to those children who need it most, to give them that extra boost to help them catch up on some of the classroom time that they've missed. But we've got to recognise...
You talked there about the most disadvantaged children and it being targeted at them, but some people are going to be wondering if this is enough. I mean, 10 years of progress between closing the gap between the most disadvantaged and more privileged peers has been wiped out, according to the Education Endowment Fund. This apparently works out at about £6,000 per primary school. Is it enough? Should you not be looking at more drastic measures like lengthening school days or shortening the school holiday?
So we're looking at a whole sort of range of different actions, but what we wanted to do is to give schools the extra resources that they needed to be able to take action immediately. Some of the reforms that we want to look at and sort of consult on will sort of look at the whole expanse of what we can do in terms of helping children have extra teaching time, have extra opportunities. But this is an immediate response to give those children that extra boost. But the best support we can do is seeing children back into the classroom on the 8th of March, which is, I think, something that all parents want to see, all children want to see, and teachers want to see as well.
So just to pick up there, you're saying you're consulting on a whole range of things about extending teaching time. Does that mean you are looking at extending the school day?
Well, we recently appointed Sir Kevin Collins in order to be able to look at how we do education recovery, a man who's had so many years of experience. And we're looking at a whole range, a broad range of different options of how we can support schools, how we can support teachers, but most importantly, how we can support children.
Including lengthening the school day?
He will be looking at how we can boost and support children in a whole range of different manners. But it's not just about time in school. It's about supporting teachers in terms of the quality of teaching and how we can help them.
OK, sounds like it is on the table, though. I just want to ask about the timing of this announcement as well, this extra top-up money. Children have experienced right now 338 days of disrupted education since they were closed in that first lockdown. And I just wonder if this feeds into, a wider theme, if you effectively just doing things too late at the last minute after they've already become obvious. I mean, you announced more laptops for schools, for example, back in April. Many still don't have them now. You announced at the beginning of January that exams were going to be cancelled without announcing a plan of what was going to replace them. I mean, are you basically, the essay crisis education secretary? You only do things right at the last minute and you leave other people to pick up the pieces.
So what we announced is a £1 billion fund in terms of boosting children's education, giving them extra help and support, and schools that extra help and support over 6 months ago. This is extra action that we're taking because actually children have suffered more disruption as a result of that. We always recognise that the best form of assessment for children was through exams. But when we're in a situation where we had to lock down schools again and we weren't being able to welcome children into schools, we did have to take another route. We've made it clear that that's through teacher judgment and teacher assessment as to how those grades will be awarded. And our focus is very much in terms of welcoming children back on the 8th of March. It's an incredibly important part of our unlocking the country. But it's also goes to confirm the priority that the Prime Minister and I have always said. The national priority is our children and their education. We've always said schools would be the last to close and first to open, and we've been absolutely true to our word.
So So what is your plan then to replace exams? You say that you recognise it's the best form of teacher assessment. How are you going to replace them?
Well, what we already set out in sort of the first week of January is the fact that we'd be putting teacher judgment at the core of it. It would be teacher assessed grades that would be what is the basis of GCSEs and A levels. We're in the next few days going to be outlining the details, further details of the plan following the consultation that we carried out with the sector that had one of the largest responses that of any consultation that we've ever run.
I understand, you need to consult, you need to get this right because it's so important. But what I don't understand is when exams were cancelled last year, when it was entirely predictable that they could be cancelled again this year, why didn't you announce a comprehensive plan at the same time as announcing that they were going to be cancelled? It really help parents and children as well, and the anxiety levels.
Well, as you'll probably recall, back in January, we did set out very clearly that we're moving to teacher judgment in terms of assessment and grades.
But no detail about how they were going to be moderated.
And we absolutely rightly wanted to consult on this. We'll be setting out the details incredibly shortly in the next few days, and you'll have to sort of just wait a short time longer before we set out more details on that. But the best form of assessment has always been examination. That's why we had felt that the best route, as many other countries right around the world, even while they've been dealing with the pandemic, had also reached that same conclusion. But in terms of a changing situation, we felt it was right to be able to consult on a different route and sort of set out our contingency plans in terms of doing that. That's what we did. We completed the consultation and we'll be informing both children, teachers and parents of the result of that incredibly soon.
Contingency plan, does that mean people could still sit exams then?
No.
OK. I'm interested to hear about universities as well. They're not included, they weren't included in the roadmap this week. Can you guarantee to university students that they're going to get some face-to-face teaching by the end of this academic year?
Well, I do apologise to correct you, but they were actually included as part of a roadmap. And actually what you're seeing is from the 8th of March, you'll be seeing all practical students being able to return. That's roughly about 40% of all students studying at university. So a very significant increase in the number of students that are going to be going back to university. I equally recognise that there's many more students that are not covered in that. That's why, as part of the next stage, there is a review about when we can bring students back into university at the earliest possible moment. This is the right time to do so. I certainly want to be seeing students back into the university at the earliest possible moment. That's why we're conducting a review, and that's why we're going to be welcoming so many back on the 8th of March.
Yeah, as you say, the majority of students, we're still not clear when they're going to return. Can you guarantee that all university students will have some face-to-face teaching this academic year?
Yeah, we want to be seeing all students, whatever courses that they're doing, to be having face-to-face teaching this year. That's why we're setting out the review point of the next stage of the roadmap as to when we're going to be able to make it absolutely clear that all students are going to be able to return back to university.
OK. Now, James Wharton, the former Conservative MP, someone you know very well, obviously, because you both worked together on Boris Johnson's leadership campaign. He's been appointed the head of the independent regulator for higher education in England. Can you just talk me through what experience he's got in that sector? Because, I mean, I've had a look, I can't really find any.
Well, James brings an immense amount of experience, both as a government minister, as a lawyer before entering Parliament, but also as a chairman of a business and bringing business experience as well as public service experience into that role. And what he will be is an incredibly strong voice and champion for students as well as the sector, making sure that we drive up standards in the sector, making sure that we drive up the quality of what students get from universities and helping, the sector deliver real change in terms of what they deliver in terms of a student experience. And I think we need to have strong advocates in organisations such as the Office for Students that are absolutely rightly there to hold universities to account. And I have no doubt that he will do exactly that as he did in his ministerial career.
Well, I'm glad that you've got no doubt, because other people have got some doubts on this. You know, he's been given this very lucrative role, £60,000 a year for 2 days a week in the university sector. When I asked what relevant experience in that sector you've got, you said he's been a minister and a lawyer. I mean, you can understand why some people might think, hang on a minute, is this just jobs for the boys?
Well, actually, so many of these incredibly important public appointments is making sure that you have strong advocates for the sector, making sure that you have strong voices for students. That is what Lord Wharton will be, and I have no doubt that he will take the enthusiasm and the passion that he always had, whether as a DFID minister, whether as a Minister for the Northern Powerhouse, into that exact same role in terms of advocating for universities and advocating for students, making sure that we drive a quality agenda in terms of making sure that teaching within universities continues to improve. These are all things that are absolutely vital that the Office for Students does. And this follows an extensive, independent sort of recruitment process, and one where he was also interviewed by the Select Committee in Parliament, which also endorsed his appointment as well.
Very quickly, because we are out of time, but this comes off the back of other people who are known to this government being awarded lucrative contracts. For example, a neighbour of Matt Hancock getting £30 million to produce vials for COVID tests. Are we really meant to believe that this is all just complete coincidence, that they have relationships with members of government and they were really appointed because they were the best people for the job?
We always appoint the people who are best person for the job, driving the government's agenda in terms of change and reform, whether that's in universities, whether that's in schools, whether that's in any other sector of society, because actually we want to deliver change, we want to deliver the levelling up agenda. That's always the focus, and our focus is getting the best people into those jobs to deliver that change and help us deliver the agenda that we were elected to deliver back in 2019.